What's up everyone, Franklin here, and now we're on to our next video relating to the computer basic topic. Lastly, I hope to recommend 3 PC build to you based on what it's going to be used for. Today Jeremy will be joining me on this video to offer his assistance and personal thought on the 3 builds we will be showcasing today.
Hey guys, hope you're all doing fine. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe and share our channel. Now without further ado, let's get right into it.
The lonely loner seems to free his mind at night.
Okay, so as I mentioned before in the previous video and shared a link towards you all, this is PC Part Picker. I usually use this site to make builds, and it'll also give me tips on what I should do and should not do, like what's compatible and what is not compatible. So I put together 3 builds based on what it will be used for. First we have the work build. This build is for video editing, and it consists of reasonably priced components for smooth video editing. If you feel like the graphics card is too expensive, you can always remove it and change the CPU to something slightly more powerful like the AMD Ryzen 5 5600. The RAM can also change as well. 8GB can work quite well, but I consider 60GB the sweet spot. So Jeremy, what do you think of this build? Anything need to change?
So far to me it looks perfect. And reasonable in price, yes, but it all depends on like how much you're going to be doing, at least in my opinion. So in some cases, you might not want 16 gigs of RAM. Sometimes you might want a little more, but at the end of the day, it all based on your budget, right? So in my opinion, this is a very decent build. It can be altered in a way based on your budget. So like either a low-end work build or a high-end work build. But generally speaking, I like this build.
Nice.
I would use this build.
Nice.
I will see myself using this build.
Okay, cool. Next we're on to the budget build. The budget build where you are able to run a reasonable number of games. This build lacks a graphics card because of the insane prices we have to meet with today. The power of this build comes from the CPU and the motherboard. You can overclock if needed, only if you know what you are doing. So again, this build lacks a graphics card, and I tried my best to put together a good amount of stuff. So 8GB of RAM should be enough. 16 is not necessary, but it is the sweet spot. Again, this build is based on a budget, so you don't have to go and buy 16GB if you don't have the money for it. 8GB could work as well. Jeremy?
I mean, yes, while this could be a budget build, you don't really, even if 8GB of RAM is too much, you can go as low as 4. 4 in my opinion is very decent in terms of RAM capacity, right? If it is, well, that's only if budget tight. Aside from that, CPU, you can use a i5 CPU, i7, as I said, all depends on your budget, hence the name budget build. So from what I'm saying here, this is a very good build for someone who is on a budget. I mean, yes, there's room for improvement, but as I said, it all depends on your budget.
Sadly, at the moment I won't be able to change the CPU just because I think the motherboard was meant for an AMD CPU. So I'll just leave it as that for now.
Okay, well, yeah, that's cool.
Okay. Lastly, we have the gaming/streaming build. As expected, this build is the most expensive option out of the 3 and can only do any job you put it up to. This build includes a powerful graphics card with a good motherboard and a decent CPU with exceptional RAM. 2 fast SSDs were included so that the memory would not become an issue, and the case can be personal preference depending on your likes. As said in a previous video, the power supply is one of the most important parts of any build, so I chose a well-known brand with enough watts to effectively power the system. Any thoughts?
My. This right here is my dream computer. Not gonna lie, this is my dream computer. But you made a point on the previous build, and I just want to reiterate that. It all depends on what kind of build you're doing and anything, but as you realize that certain parts would only work with certain parts, meaning that it will have certain CPU that will work with certain motherboard, that will be compatible, I should say, with certain motherboard. Same goes for the case. You can have a motherboard that won't fit a particular case. All that's all based on research and compatibility. But regards to this build is very good, especially if it is a more like a techie kind of person. You're into streaming, you're into gaming. You want to start a Twitch channel streaming. This PC is very good for doing that, for facilitating all those activities.
The only problem I'll ever see anybody meeting here with this build is the graphics card, but everybody know they will go in right now, so they'll sort of tough it out until they find one for yourself. But
keep in mind also, with this kind of build, you also have to keep in mind that cooling would be your number one priority, because with all these gadgets in one CPU, it will generate a lot of heat. So you will need multiple fans, and sometimes you may need more. But, it all depends on how much you really have in it and the type of fan as well.
But I just spoke about that because I do have fans in mind. If this is a gaming build, I could go with a cheap fan as well, but I don't mind going. I did not.
It's better to go low end and high end to give a comparison, basically like a range.
And depending on the case as well, because some cases could hold up to 5 fans and some cases could hold up to 9. So honestly, I always recommend the top option here. Although it is expensive, you'll need to protect your system, because if anything mash up in that system, yeah, you wouldn't like that. So for me, the Corsair is one of the best options of fan you could buy. It's just not the most cheap option. But any first place, if you're making a gaming build, you must have money. So I think that's it for today. And I hope if I made any mistakes on any build, you could correct me in the comments. Jeremy, thanks for being here. And our friend and assistants.
Sure, not a problem.
Later everyone. Keep safe. Bye.